Picture the greatest city in the medieval world. Not Paris, not Constantinople. Delhi. In 1398, Delhi was home to over 1 million people, so wealthy that travelers described its markets overflowing with silk, ivory, and spices. It was arguably the richest city on the planet. Now picture one man showing up outside its walls with 90,000 soldiers. 15 days later, Delhi was a graveyard. Contemporary accounts say that for 2 whole months, not a single bird moved inside the ruins. The man who did this started life as a limping outcast, with nothing but a horse and a sword. His name was Timur, and this is how a refugee became the most feared conqueror in history, and used that power to break the world's greatest city in half. Central Asia, 1336. The Mongol Empire had shattered into a dozen warring successor states, and every ambitious warlord was trying to grab a piece. Into this chaos, Timur was born near the city of Kesh, in what is now Uzbekistan, member of a minor clan, with just enough status to dream big and just little enough power to get crushed for it. As a young man, he did what every ambitious minor noble had to do: attach yourself to whoever is winning. Make yourself useful. Survive. It worked. He was eventually appointed a provincial governor. He was on the inside. He had a title. He had a future. Then it all collapsed. Around 1360, enemies closed in, and Timur found himself not a governor, but a fugitive. He fled south into Afghanistan with his household and a handful of loyal riders, linking up with his brother-in-law Amir Hussein. For years they survived as something between mercenaries and bandits, always moving, always hunted. During a skirmish in 1363, 2 arrows hit Timur, one through his right knee, one through his right elbow. Neither healed correctly. He walked with a limp for the rest of his life. His enemies called him Timur-i-Leng, Timur the Lame. Europeans shortened it to Tamerlane. He hated the nickname. He would spend the rest of his life making people regret it. By the mid-1360s, Timur and Hussein were powerful enough to sweep into Transoxiana and take control. But Timur had a problem. Under laws inherited from Genghis Khan, only direct descendants of the great Khan could hold the title of Khan. Timur wasn't one. So he ruled through a puppet Khan and called himself Emir. Then, around 1370, Timur turned on Hussein, the same man who had sheltered him when he had nothing. Hussein became a rival, and Timur was done sharing. He besieged him, captured him, and Hussein was conveniently assassinated shortly after. Timur then married Hussein's widow, a direct descendant of Genghis Khan, giving himself the title Gur Khan, son-in-law of the Great Khan. Close enough. At Samarkand, he declared himself sovereign. The refugee had a throne. For the next 30 years, he conquered everything in reach: Persia, Iraq, even the Ottoman Sultan Bayezid, the man strangling Constantinople, was captured. He built towers of skulls outside cities that resisted. Historians estimate his armies killed 17 million people, roughly 5% of the global population. And by 1398, he turned his eye toward the richest city in the world. The Delhi Sultanate in 1398 was a mess. 2 men simultaneously called themselves Sultan. The army was demoralized. The provinces stopped listening. Timur crossed the Indus River with 90,000 cavalry and a simple policy: surrender or resist and be wiped out. By the time he reached Delhi's outskirts, he held around 100 to 1,000 prisoners, and with the decisive battle coming, he worried they'd revolt. His solution was one of the most chilling orders in medieval history. He executed all of them before the battle. Every single one. It reportedly took an entire day. On December 17, 1398, Sultan Mahmud Shah rode out with his last defense: war elephants, armored in chainmail, tusks coated in poison. Timur's cavalry had never faced them. The horses panicked at the sight. For a moment, the elephants looked like they might actually win this. Timur wasn't rattled. He dug trenches in front of his cavalry, not his infantry, so the horses couldn't bolt. Then he loaded camels with dry hay, set them on fire, and sent them stampeding into the elephant line. The elephants turned and trampled their own army. Timur's cavalry charged into the chaos. The battle was over in hours. The Sultan fled. What followed was 15 days that Delhi would not recover from for a century. Cities burned, bodies filled streets. Every skilled artisan, architects, weavers, metalworkers was taken in chains to build Timur's capital, Samarkand. When he finally left, famine and plague finished what his army had started. Timur died in 1405, nearly 70 years old, being carried in a litter at the head of an army still marching toward China. His tomb reportedly read, "Whoever opens my tomb shall unleash an invader more terrible than I." Soviet archaeologists opened it in 1941. Hitler invaded the USSR 2 days later. The limping nobody from Uzbekistan had become the man who silenced the greatest city in the world. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to Simplified Timelines.